have the interview with David, Myers, and Elijah.
Hello, everybody. How y'all? What's going on today? Man, I'm here with David Myers. Nice to meet you.
What's up, guys?
So, let me get my questions. What made you start smoking in the first place?
Well, I first want to say just great job, all the young people here that are putting this show on, and I'm excited to be here. I've been here once before as a guest, and then I ended up sharing briefly about addiction. I think the last one was more focused on drugs, and this kind of falls into a legal addiction, right? Smoking. And I think, a lot of the stuff I saw on the information that was given was about how to stop smoking. I think another question, which is important, is why do people start smoking? And I can remember I probably was in 6th grade, and I think it was other kids that I'd met. Usually it's typically someone had parents who smoked, and one of the kids ended up stealing cigarettes, and it was, you were trying them themselves, and I think I wanted to look cool. That's really what it came down to. I thought, it'll make me look tough, it'll look cool. And I can remember one of the first times I remember smoking was like, I must have been in 6th grade. I'm trying to remember. I think, 12, 13, 14. And we smoked at the corner of our school, where our school was. And I wanted the other kids to see me. So they'd be like, oh yeah, he's a bad kid, or he's a tough kid. And at that time, I will say though, I didn't inhale. I never inhaled smoking. But that's kind of when initially it was to be cool. I thought it was gonna make me tough.
I see. Tell me about your journey of quitting smoking.
Well, smoking, like they talk about vaping and smoking, it's probably one of the most addictive things. So I was, I said initially when I tried smoking, I didn't inhale, but I still can remember to this day the first time I ever inhaled a cigarette. And if anyone's ever tried smoking or you first inhale, it's a lot different than just puffing on it, you actually inhale it into your lungs. And I was riding bikes with my friends at one of the trails, and I remember inhaling, and I was like, oh my God. And it was just like coughing like crazy. And I got really buzzed, and I felt sick. And I remember just riding my bike home, just getting home, and then laying on my bed. And I was like, man, this is terrible. But that was kind of where the addiction sets in, because you get used to it. So like if you've ever done something bad or something that's not great, and you keep doing it, eventually like it doesn't become that enjoyable, right? So I went on to smoke probably from 14 to about 22 years old. And last time I was here, I talked about drugs and drug use, and I was using drugs probably from about 15 to 17. And I shared how I was able to walk away from drugs. I just stopped doing them. And a lot of it had to do with the people I was hanging out with and the community I was around. But smoking, I could not give up. And it was one of those things I struggled with for a long time, to the point where I actually wouldn't smoke in public. So at this point, I was embarrassed to smoke, because I was around friends and people, like my whole community had changed. I was in college, and so I just didn't smoke in public, and I would still smoke. And to your question, how I quit, I just couldn't quit. I really, really had tried. And I said at this point I wasn't smoking in public, but like I'll forget. I remember someone's dad, one of my friends, I think their dad saw me smoking. I must have been driving or something and smoking. And one of their friends' dad saw me, and I'm like, oh man, he said, no, I smoke, And I was embarrassed. But I went to a youth event, and it was at a church, and I would attend church periodically as a kid growing up. And at this youth event, they actually, the speaker was like, hey, if there's anybody here with an addiction and like you need help and there's something you can't stop, we want you to come up front. At this point, I was so desperate, I could not quit on my own. And I actually responded to this, I responded to the speaker at the event, and someone prayed for me. And at that moment, the addiction was gone. And it was one of the most freeing things I've ever experienced. And that's how I actually ended up quitting. I was probably 23 years old at that time.
That's good. What specific factors helped you quit?
Well, I think this is really important, and it ties into to alcohol or any addiction that you may be struggling with. I know the addictions now are even different, like with technology and your phones. I think this, we're talking about drugs, there's pornography, there's a lot of things that a youth are attacked with just in general with addictions. And the biggest thing for me, and you had that, there's a picture of me, and that's my son there. So even before I was, had children, I would think about my future. I think we all think about our future when we're young, right? Things we want to do, things we want to be. And I would envision myself in the future with a family or like being successful. And then I just remember being like, man, like I don't want to have these things and then be dying of cancer or be dying from smoking. And I think the advice I would give is having a vision for your life and being active, like what you guys are doing here tonight with all this youth and this program. It's really cool. The program you guys are putting on. I think it's exciting because you're part of something that's greater, bigger. And maybe some of you will go on to being on TV. Like these young girls here, you guys are doing great. There's lots of opportunities. And if you get a vision for your life of where you want to be in 10, 5, 10, 15 years, that will help you in a lot of ways with addictions and just saying no to things. But when I was a kid running around, I just didn't have that. And I was just getting into whatever people was going on at the time. I was getting caught up in those situations that weren't healthy.
Do you think kids or youth or anybody can reach out to family members of their own to quit and see what's the problem of smoking?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, since it's been a while since I was your guys' age, and like things have changed. I think a lot of the smoking has become really taboo in a lot of ways. And now, like, I think what's even more of an issue is, in some ways, is the marijuana, which is becoming legalized in all these states. I think, and then the vaping's huge. I watched the Juul documentary on Netflix on how the rise of vapes and a lot of the unknowns and the things that were happening, because there's lots of chemicals, which you guys pointed out tonight, a lot of chemicals in the vapes. And I think, being aware of it, educating, reaching out, letting them know that you could help them, I think is important. And then you have to look at the other side, which I think is also important. Like a lot of times people are doing things like I was trying to smoke to be cool and to fit in. So that's another issue. Maybe I didn't feel loved enough, or I was looking for acceptance. So, looking out for those people that maybe are marginalized, aren't as popular at school, like you can show them love, and that will help as well.
That's good. That's good. How has your life changed since you quit?
Well, I think with anything at the time when I was still smoking, it was like it was like a secret, and living with the secret, or just living like that, it's just lame. And then, you make excuses to do stuff, to go smoke, or I'd be smoking behind somewhere. Just, I think being free and being addicted to anything and getting, in my case, I felt like I was set free from this addiction. It's liberating. And you get to live and be your true self. And that makes a huge difference in confidence. And then I made the comment, smelling. The smoking just stinks, cigarettes really smell. So that also helped as well.
Do you think smoking has become an epidemic, especially among the youth?
I think it's gotten a lot better, but I think vaping is definitely an issue now that you guys are facing more than ever, because like they have all the flavors, it doesn't smell, it became trendy, and the studies are showing they targeted youth. They try to make it look like this is some hip, cool thing. But I can tell you, I know a lot of people who come out of recovery, because I work with these guys, and they're doing the vape. And the vape, they say, is the vapes are more addictive than cigarettes, because you're getting this intense hit. It's just straight. They can actually put more nicotine in those things than a regular cigarette, and they're harder to quit. So I would just say, it is a problem. Definitely, it's still an epidemic.
I agree too. What advice do you have for the youth who are struggling to quit?
Well, come to this event. I think just educating yourself. Like if you're struggling with something, it doesn't matter what it is. Reach out to someone in your life that can help. Whether it's a family member, a friend, a youth leader, community leader here. There's lots of people I think in this room that are going to help you. And it's getting it out. Once you are able to admit you have something or you have a problem, that's the first step. Then you can get the help you need.
I agree, Mr. Myers. There's a lot of people that struggle with a lot of things and a lot of vaping, smoking, and I feel like in this community we're in right now, we can help them a lot.
Well, I appreciate that. I got a question for you. So, if I'm putting you on the spot, have you ever been offered like a vape or smoking right now in school?
Yes, but I declined it.
Hey, good job.
It was nice. It was nice having you here, Mr. Myers, and I will hope to see you again.
All right, thank you guys.
Like and subscribe for more videos from the cause.